Debate, the Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'm happy to rise to speak about Bill 242. Now, of course, at the heart of the issue around Bill 242 is about reuniting families. It is about ensuring that parents, grandparents can come to Canada and be with their loved ones. And we know the value of all of that, and we cherish it as individuals, people with children, myself with children. I value the very moments that my daughter and my son could spend with their grandmother and their grandfather. Now, of course, my parents are immigrants here, so they get to enjoy that. So many newcomers, so many immigrants who come to this country are not in that fortunate situation. They don't bring their parents and grandparents here to Canada. They cannot enjoy those moments. So what Bill 242 is trying to do is to facilitate a process so that those families can reunite through the super visa process. Now, we know that the super visa process was one that was already in place, and this bill seeks to enhance it, addressing the high cost of the issue with respect to insurance coverage, most particularly, and then also extending the period to which parents, grandparents could come to Canada under a super visa. Interestingly, and it's petty politics in my view, because what happened was after the bill was tabled that we saw the government through committee literally in the 9th hour bring forward ministerial instructions to try to kill the bill. That is exactly what happened. So despite government members will say they have advocated for this for a very long time, the reality is this: they did not act on it. I remember, because back in 2015, as a new member of parliament, this was one of the issues that we studied, parents, grandparents reunification. And there were a whole host of recommendations that were tabled. And then it just sat on a shelf. Nothing happened. So congratulations to the member for actually pushing the government in this regard in getting this done. Now, with that being said, I do think that there are flaws within the bill. I prefer, of course, the first choice is for the government to lift the cap on parents, grandparents reunification so that all those family members can seek permanent resident status here in Canada and for them to be able to do so in an expeditious way. Now, that did not happen, and with this bill, the issue that I have with it is that I was hoping through the bill to get an amendment through which the member actually did support. However, I did not get the government support to amend the bill so that there would be an appeal process for rejections of super visas. And it did not go through. And to me, that is very unfortunate. Because if you can just imagine a person whose application has been turned down, they would actually have to go through judicial review. It is a very onerous and expensive process that should not be required, in my view. There should be a simple appeal process for the review officer and for the government, for the minister to take into consideration extenuating circumstances, why an application has been rejected, and then to make compassionate decisions. I cited an example of one family where the application was rejected because they missed the income requirement in the final stages, because their child came early and they had to go on mat leave. And as a result, their income dipped ever so slightly for a short period of time. And then after the child was born, they went right back up to their income, but then it was already too late because they have already failed the program, and then they were rejected in their application. And that to me is a shame. Now, of course, one will say, and the government will say, they can reapply. It's true. But why make a family reapply? That is costly for the family. It delays the process. And equally important, it actually jams up IRCC with their staff because they have to reprocess the same application yet again. Why go through that process where you can save the administrative costs on the government side? So that amendment, unfortunately, did not go through, but it is required, though, with this bill, where the minister has to report on it and to review the issue around the review process, along with the report back on the income cutoff. I do think that reunification should not be based on your ability to pay. Family reunification should be valued for what it is. And so therefore, we should actually have a fulsome review of the costs that the government's imposing with respect to that, and to really examine whether or not we should be imposing it. One of the things, Madam Speaker, that people often have a misconception on is this. The reality is that family reunifications, parents, grandparents, when they come to Canada, they contribute to our economy. They support the family. So for example, so that both parents could actually get out into the workforce, as an example, because they could help with childcare. They actually help with the growth of the children in terms of teaching them their cultural history and family history, language, and so on. All of that are contributors to building a multicultural Canada, one to which we're very proud of. So when we put up these barriers that blocks people with their family reunification, that only says about their income, that if, for example, your income dips ever so slightly, you somehow disqualify. And that we're sending a clear message to say, family reunification needs to be bought. Just imagine that for 1 minute. If any one of us sitting in this chamber, you're told that you have to buy your ability to see your parents or your grandparents, what would you say to that? I don't think that's who we are as a country and as a nation. I don't think that's who we are as peoples. Humanitarian actions acting on the basis of humanity means that we cherish and value what we have, and we want to expand that to other people as well. And when it comes to family, I wish all families would be able to reunite. I wish that people would have that opportunity to be with their loved ones, to create those memories, and then to preserve those memories. The only way you can do that is for people to be able to reunite with each other. So, Madam Speaker, I hope that the government will take this to heart. I hope the minister will take this to heart and examine the program, both on the parents, grandparents sponsorship program in lifting the cap, and then to honor reunification in that way. And then in the interim, enhance the super visa program with the appeal process to ensure that there is an appeal process in place, and then to also lower the cost requirements. Because when you do that, you're respecting the families. And that's ultimately, I think, what we all want to see, Madam Speaker. So I want to just finally close by saying congratulations to the member for bringing this bill forward. I do think that it is better to have legislation than in ministerial instructions. I think it's petty for the government to play petty politics, to bring in ministerial instructions in the last moment to upsert this bill. And, you know, in the life of politics, at the end of the day, though, what we all want to see, no matter which side we're from, which bench we're from, is to make sure that the policies that are brought in support the community, benefits the community. And there's no doubt in the minds of New Democrats that ensuring family reunifications, on parents, grandparents reunification, it is a laudable goal. It's a goal that we support, and we want to see this measure come to fruition, at least in the interim, as a super visa, to reduce the cost of it for families, and to say that reuniting with your loved ones is not something that you need to buy, but rather it should be something that we should all honor and respect, Madam Speaker. New Democrats is happy to support this bill, and I look forward to seeing its full passage through the Senate.